of Technology, Misrata University, Skyline University, Dubai, etc. He has produced many PhD research scholars, MTech students in the area of data warehousing and data mining, cloud computing, data science, and digital image processing. He also worked in CMM5 IT firms such as Ken at Halifax, Canada, Tech Mahindra, Mumbai, and many other places. He shared his experience and expertise. He is very actively engaged in Atmanirbhar Bharat in the capacity of startup entrepreneurship, assembling in national programs, starting flipped classroom, blending training for virtual online classes, future skill project for youth in cloud data science, data mining, blockchain, AI practices, IITB spoken tutorial converting English learning material to any language, and R&D projects on social cause, etc. He have many research publication on his academic credit, and with this short brief, now I request Professor Jain sir to take the charge of the session. Over to you, Professor Jain.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. First of all, I want to thank Marathwada University team and also UGC team for inviting me for this wonderful session, and also want to welcome all the participants of today for joining such a wonderful activity from many different ministry time to time. And as Madam has introduced me, I am in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology under the NELIT. I work here, and also we do a lot of activity of such activity in our ministry also. I think my slide is visible, sir.
Go for presentation mode, Jayant. That would be nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
now
now
is
it's
it in the
coming.
presentation
Yeah,
mode?
yeah, it is coming good now.
So this is a topic which is under one umbrella called as effective management of resources for academic activities. So I want to bring some of our activity, whatever we are doing here in our organization, also some of the organization where I had worked in some university as well as some software industries. And I want to group this presentation into three different groups. One is on the flip teaching or proctor-based examination, what is going on right now after the post-COVID. And another one is about grooming the new team members by using some software development practices called as a Scrum. And there are some study that we have worked out on this one. And the last group of presentation will be on something, study on the HR management by using some proposed concept called as a responsibility index and also action plan based processes. So I believe that this interaction will be interesting because at least in these three areas, at least you may be interested in at least one of these areas. So before starting this one, I want to bring the concept of Industry 4.0. In this Industry 4.0, whether you want, you don't want, we want, we don't want, or our future students want or not, Industry 4.0 already has been started in 2003. And now it is almost 10 years behind. But in India also, we are planning to do a lot of things in Industry 4.0. Basically, in this Industry 4.0, we are planning to convert most of the mechanical jobs in the form of an automated job. So here, if you see the diagram that Industry 4.0 is coming after some generation of the industry activity like Industry 1, Industry 2, and 3. So India started growing in mass production as well as some automation during Industry 2 and Industry 3. Because of the involvement of this Industry 2, 3, we could get a lot of computers, laptops, mobile, and all those type of things. Now, after having all these parameters or all this infrastructure with us in any of our institution, wherever you are working, either at your home or in your organization, now there is a concept of connecting all these things, and not only connecting by the human, but they are about to interconnect themselves so that they can talk to each other. For example, in some some hard work countries like Middle East countries, they already have the smart homes. The homes whatever they have at Dubai can be controlled by the people who are staying at Saudi Arab. For example, a freeze can talk to the owner of the house to order their egg, or for example the milk is inside their fridge. If the milk is keep the more than week, then automatically the fridge will update that, yes, I was brought 1 week before, so either I have to be disposed or new type of the type of milk should be purchased for your family, something like that. So those type of machines are talking to each other. That is what we mean the industry 4.0. So in this industry 4.0, so many things about connecting the things. It may be a living things, or it may be a machine, it may be a some other network security, or other different business are going to be come up. So this industry 4.0 is the start of whatever I'm going to explain in new slides, other slides. Now, this is something about the industry 4.0. Those who are new for this one, we are going to have a lot of internet of things. There are a lot of informations that will be connected through internet, whether it can be through LAN or Wi-Fi or any other thing. Smart sensors may be used. Some robotic concepts may be used. The analytics, data analytics part will be used. 3D printing, augmented reality, cloud computing, Google detection system, the location detection system, like that. These are some of the examples that we consider. There are around 9-10 pillars of the industry 4.0. Now, coming to the point, what is happening in our education policy is, unlike before, different governments, this new government, they have given 6% of our Indian GDP only for developing the education sector. In this education sector, 6.6% of GDP provided to the education sector means there are a lot of things are going to be changed here. That's why the new education policy has come back, and so many other activities also. So we want or we don't want, COVID has conducted, COVID has did his activity. Now it is our responsibility to do our own activity. That's why new changes of these type of activities are coming up. So first we'll try to see what COVID has affected us. One is the responsibility of the teacher. You may be a parent, you may be a teacher, but whenever you interact with your customer, whether in the office or whether in the organization, wherever you are working, you need to do, minimizing the face-to-face interaction, and then also introduce some practices like a blended teaching or the flip. So I will go to the flip classroom little later. Before this one, the some responsibility of the teacher has to be increased, means we have to adopt some extra responsibility as a teacher. One is about arranging the resources to fit the learning objectives of whatever the changes which is given by the post-COVID activity or the blended teaching or the new education policy or whatever the changes there. One is arranging the resources to be fit to the learning objective of a student for the better impact. Second one is we also need to adopt or adapt some of the digital skill set. Before, we were simply going with the chalks and the duster to the classes. Now we cannot go because in the classes there is no student. Now your students are, your customers are, we have to interact in the same way that we are interacting right now. We have to interact with some medium. If we don't know how to connect this WebEx, or we don't know how to connect to the Zoom or Google Sheet and other thing, it's going to be very difficult life. And also that at the same time, our impact, what impact or what contribution we want to give to the society is going to be useless. That's the second thing. The third one is we also need to develop resources for their own subject in a such a way that it can be shared to the medium which is provided to us. For example, right now we are sharing with the help of PowerPoint. If this medium is something different, then PowerPoint may not be work. Correct. In the same way, there are different responsibilities are coming for the for a student or for a teacher in the way of interaction. So the last portion of this responsibility of the teacher is also we need to know how to conduct examinations, how to prepare material. That's the one thing. How to use the digital skill set to the reach out to the students. That's another thing. The third one is after conducting your operation, how we are going to take the interview for them, exam for them. That's how the proctor-based examination, the flipped classroom, the online open book examination, and then finally how to convince them to go for this type of online activity till they get a job. Nowadays, giving the interview is not face to face. This is also based on some online activity. So we will come to all those points. This is why I'm bringing this idea that the teacher has more responsibility. For example, in any organization, you are the boss, you have more responsibility in way of designing new way of interaction with your staffs. Same thing here I do. This is, I think, my fifth or sixth interaction that from morning I have been engaging in several meetings through the online mode only, because you see, if I am doing offline, maybe two things I can do at one time, but in the online only one set is will block my time. I cannot do double work here. So this is how the university or colleges conduct the lesson plan, and different components are over there, because I was talking about the learning objectives, like learning objectives and assessment mode, the timing and the content to be shared to the students, the timing of the tutorial and the timing of the assessment or the examination. I'm bringing this one because in my last page, there will be action-based study on the impact. So this all this information will be required. Now we were talking about the digital skill set. This is what we brought for some of the new staffs over here. We have conducted in our organization in NALIT. We have given all the material to the students using Google Sheet. We have given all the material by using some other digital locker. Still, after observing the attendance of the student, we come to know that the maximum percentage that what we have achieved so far is 51% only. There are issues. Some of the issues in the online is something about bad network, the connectivity, or high usage of the internet and other things. For example, if you take very practically, you take the connection of Geo. Geo may give you maybe 1.2 MB, but we keep on talking, in 1 hour, 2 hour, 1 GB internet will be finished. So when the student wants to do something, when they go to the social media, they want to go to the social media, some other call, some other WhatsApp charge here and there. Actually, 1 hour, 2 hour of our classroom interaction will almost consume his one-day activity. So it comes to understand the problems of the students also. So that is why there is a possibility that here we need to work on how to increase the the bandwidth, or how to decrease the usage of this type of medium like that. That's the one thing. Another one is, whenever we are preparing the video material and something like this, if you are preparing a very large video, then on assessing the problem, the connectivity is also it gives. There are situations where in the bad network, some of the students even climb up to the tree in order to get the network. In case if there is a problem, that the students wants to give the examination, how they can climb to a tree and can give the examination. So that was one of the points that I have referred just before, the 1 minute before, that we need also to motivate the students to use all these type of things. So some solutions are coming in a later stage, and at the same time, most of the online services have not developed to serve the huge number of users and their demand as given by COVID. Because online and all these activity, for example, in this WebEx also there are uh, capacities are there, more than 100, more than 200, more than 500, different tariffs are there. So all those tariffs and other things also we need to check on. So this is about some of the digital skill set that the student as well as the teacher has to know ourselves. After coming to here, the activity is coming after post-COVID. One is either we may be taking these classes on online mode, maybe we may be taking in the blended mode. Normally in the blended mode, the online and the offline activities are mixed, or maybe the offline part is mixed with some electronics medium, either maybe face to face, maybe interacted through a mobile, maybe interacted through some LAN connectivity, maybe you deliver something in advance and those type of thing. But in the flipped classroom, the changes are totally different. Normally the flipped classrooms are made that in the time of the class, the interaction, the problems of the students are solved. Traditionally, what happened is one teacher will come and the student will sit, then student will keep on listening what the teacher is saying, and there is no much interaction between the students, from the student side to the teacher. Mainly this is driven by the teacher. But in the flipped classroom, what happened is, using some mechanism, the teacher will prepare all those important items that we have discussed. All those items, all those lecture note will be given to the students in advance, and to the students some more action plan will also be shared, that these are the activity that they have to finish before to the class. Then inside the classroom, either this class can be set up physically or it can be set up in the blended mode, mix of the online and the offline. Then most of the class timing will be on the discussion mode only. So this gives the students to improve themselves, and also the rotation of their roles. For example, a student will behave like a teacher for an assignment, then remaining students will follow them. Then the second student will become as a teacher, form of a teacher. Then the remaining students will behave just like a student. Then whatever their outcomes or their confusion will come to the teacher in the time of the class, and then they will learn by examples, and students will improve their interpersonal skill, then problem solving schemes in front of the teacher. In the way of traditional thing, teacher don't have that much time to interact with the students. He is almost 90% of his time is busy in delivering the classes to finish. But in the flip, as the information was provided in before, so the total hours allotted, maximum of the total hours will be used for interacting between the students, student to students, and student to teacher, like that only. So this flip classroom facility or flip way of processing is taking in a very fast mode after the post-COVID activity. Now this is something example of the flip thing. Those who are not setting up flip thing, they have different components to do. The lesson plan, the content material, and other these things are normal, but here we need to set up some labs. For example, there should be some PCs which are going to connect to some server, and then some materials has to be floated into connected PCs among the students, then all those type of things. This is some example of the flip classroom. And also this flip type of classroom is very much comfortable for those students preparing for many competitive examination, many of the coaching centers, or many of the job placement, job provider center, even the civil service aspirants are using this one for interaction between, for more interaction between themselves, the candidate themselves, as well as the service provider. And during this flipped classroom, normally what we do is they do a lot of concepts and the ideas to interact between the pair, because learning between pair is more important than learning from the teacher itself, because teacher may not be available all the time, but the pairs are available all the time. They can communicate, as we know that so many communication mediums are increased. We have a lot of communicating ways. Either we can connect through a social media or WhatsApp or some other interaction between student to student. They have more interaction than the teachers. So if they can teach themselves, then the less interaction with the teacher also no problem. Then teacher can go in some other research and development and some other things also. After the class, the students reflect upon the feedback, whatever they have received during the learning thing. In any type of confusion, the teacher or the PE will behave just like a mentor to them, and they can do. There are some more process also it take place here. For example, assessment, impact of the study. As I said that in this flipped classroom or other activity, the role of the student is changed. For example, for one class, one student will become the mentor type of thing. And in another class, the second students will become a mentor type of thing. What is impact to them, and also the team performance, also time taken to understand a topic. For example, there is a topic in chapter number 1. There are new topics in chapter number 2. How much the adaptation of the students we will compare from chapter to chapters. So that is also that. But the responsibility of the instructor is very, very sensitive here, because if the instructor did not prepare or did not group the student properly or did not prepare the course material properly, because there will be less delivery of the lectures in this flipped classroom. Mainly the student will read by themselves. This is depend on the material prepared. So that is why if the instructor did not choose the material or did not prepare the material properly for those group of students, there will be misunderstanding and there will be actually wrong direction. That is why the instructor's role in this flipped classroom is very, very sensitive. So I go to the next one. This is one example. I think all of you know that one of the Indian professor has converted his mobile into the real online class type of thing. Here, if you see the last diagram, something like that, in Korea and other places, people are using UI UX facilities, user interface, user experience level type of thing. The real photo of their photos, their teachers are coming in the class, or this is representing in the form of a robot, and then students are interacting with the robot, and the teacher is answering from their kitchen or from their some other shopping places, something like that, interacting. So interaction using the available user interface, user experience facilities is also very much important here. And many people are using community radio for in order to reach to the students, either in the form of online or the flipped classroom or other facility also. Now, this is another example that in the academics, by flipped classroom or something like that, people are converting this one to the virtual reality. Many of the subjects like geography, history, natural sciences, many videos are converted. For example, if we take the example of Medicare facility, how the heart are beating, or in the chemical reaction, how all these benzene reaction, all these elements, or if you see the geography, how what is the type of our earth, the internal core of the earth, where is the the oil available, how the oils are formed, and all these type of things are also converting material is one thing, reaching this material to the target audience is one thing, interacting with the candidate, whether they understand the material provided by the teacher to themselves, is different things. So there are different ways of interacting. This is about one of the material that we have prepared together under the guidance of IIT Bombay. Many of the material that many of you also might be knowing the spoken tutorial. I was also fortunate to join the group to convert the English learning material on computer and electronics into many of the northeastern languages. For example, in Manipuri language, the English how to learn C programming, it is converted into Manipuri language. Then the Manipuri boys, maybe in Assami language, then the Assami boys can download and can read by themselves. And then there will be, quizzes that spoken tutorials are provided. After they pass the quiz, then they will be getting some certificate and all these type of thing. Actually, the concern is not that. The concern is we were translating this spoken tutorial considering that we will help every student will be assessing this one through a NKN connection, very high speed connection from their university. But suddenly, because of the COVID, this facility was accessing from their home, where in their home they have very weak network. Some of these videos does not work, so they have to download. In the time of downloading, then all those type of problems that the student feel. So that is why the better interface of this user interface and user experience facilities based on the user requirement is very, very important. So this is what we want to give up here. And this is another example. One is about the preparation, one is about the delivery. Now, once consider that we have delivered everything, how to take the examination. The examination that nowadays, many of these institutions, even the recruitment examination is second as is based on the proctor-based examination. Proctor-based means there will be extra cameras, there will be CCTV camera, there will be, your webcam camera, but there will be extra cameras in order to monitor the behavior of the candidate in the time of examination. But this is also not a very easy thing, because for example, a village student is going for giving an examination to one internet cafe. So internet cafe does not have that much facilities, right? So they don't have this much this activity. That's why extra setup has to be done for this proctor-based examination. In this proctor-based examination, one system or one camera will be pretending like a proctor officer. So those proctor officer will be monitoring the behavior of the candidate. And there are a lot of extra web cameras and CCTV cameras and all those type of things. But whether we want or we don't want, at least coming up to 3 years will be based on this type of proctor-based examination. In fact, we are also conducting several examinations on the monthly basis about our short-term courses and other things. So we set up our computers over here in order to facilitate this proctor-based examination. Now I go to one more part. One is the examination. Now, once the examination is over, consider that student got pass. Now, what is the next? The next is for a job recruitment or a skill assessment. There are many institutions where they are also giving this, the national skill assessment. Wherever they score some marks, then they will be allowed to go for example, get a net examination. If somebody is having a net examination, net score, get score. If they want to enter to some industry, actually they are allowed to enter to the industry with that score. But at the same time, there are many organizations who are recruiting based on proctor-based examination. So the student as well as the teacher, it is their responsibility that they have to adapt to this type of a proctor-based examination. How to give proctor-based examination, how to sit in front of the proctor system. So that's the concern. Now, this is another example of converting in the form of AR, VR. For example, there are very interesting things are there. For example, this is from the Lavtak Lake and other different areas from Manipur. So this can be converted. For example, you don't need to go to Lavtak Lake. If you have this AR, VR machine and somebody has converted this one to in the form of AR, VR playable videos, then you can feel before going to the places. This is also a very interesting thing that many of our starters, many of our partners are also working on this one. So this is about something about the proctor-based examination and the flipped classroom. I think in order to enable this type of thing, Government of India is taking different initiative to give a concept called as AI for youth, responsible AI for youth. So in this one, what they do is they have changed as per the new education policy. They have put this AI, coding, robotics, and all these type of syllabus from starting from class 6 onward. From the class 6 onward, in the class 6, they have two computer courses. I think one is IT, another one is something like AI. In class 7, then they have a IT, coding, then AI, robotics, so on, so on. So we have seen that once they finish class 12, then around they are going to have around something like 22, 23 courses in computer science. And some of these courses are optional, and these are introduced under this new education policy as a skilling courses. For example, if some students, they want to take their career path in the vocational way only, after class 9 it is possible. They don't want to go continue to the formal courses, then they will go to the ITI vocational, then all these BFOC and all these type of also coming. So from the side of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, this project has been rolled out, that is called as AI for Youth. And many of the schools, for example, you can see like something like 3,605 Kendra Vidyalaya schools, and around 7,000 government schools, and all these schools, the students, girl student, boys school students, and number of different types of the students are also keep on participating in this event. And many of these things also roll back in the school level. And now I come to the second part. Let's say that some of our students know how to adapt. Let's say that our faculty member know how to adapt to the new environment after post-COVID. Before post-COVID also, in this digital world, whatever we are discussing about, either Industry 4.0 or proctor-based examination or flipped classroom or online or blended and other thing. Now it is the responsibility of the teacher as well as the responsibility of the students to groom themselves, because as I say, after passing what, definitely they will go for higher study, maybe R&D work, or maybe they will go, majority of the students will go for a placement. So before going to the placement, they need to know how they prepare themselves whenever they are doing the final year project, how they have to prepare themselves for the industry or for the organization wherever they go. So here we are introducing a concept called as a Scrum. This is coming from the software industry. Many of the software industry adopt this type of practices so that the students groom, the students of the final year students who are doing in BTech or MTech, they groom by themselves while they are in the college so that they are ready for the industry. So I will just go through some of the case study or some of the concept of the Scrum here. Why we go for this type of Scrum? Because we know today we are in a very similar type of we are among similar type of staffs. For example, we are in one university. Students are of only MSc level, maybe PhD level. Professors are there, associate professors are there, our teaching staffs are there. It is not that much different. But after passing this university, students are going to enter to some organization. Just like, let's say, take the example of TCS, take the example of Infosys. Different level of the people are going to be there, and they will be given different responsibilities to work. They will be working in different shifts. They may be working in different tensions. They have to interact with many things. So as a fresher, when they are in the university or they are in the final year thing, we have to groom them with using some Scrum practices that we are coming to that point. Scrum is a process which allow quick production of working piece of model. For example, this Scrum was made for the software development, but actually we are going to apply this Scrum practice for preparing some fresher or preparing some final year students ready for the industry. So this Scrum is also having a very good concept called as a sprint retrospective. Retrospective means post-mortem, means how they did it. If a final year student did a very good project, how they did it, so that the process that they have adopted in order to bring a very good project can be delayed or can be relayed to their junior for the next batches. Maybe in the time of the project execution, the person will be asked to rerun his project, then the remaining students will be following how they do. So that is why the Scrum practice. So in this Scrum practice, there will be different ways of assigning roles, different roles, and with different responsibility, so that a candidate will learn several roles even though they are doing a single project. For example, if we take the example of software development, something like that, we heard that we have analysis, we have coding, designing, testing. Whenever they are doing a project, as per the Scrum, actually their roles are going to be rotated. So everybody will get a chance to perform all the steps which is required for a project. Otherwise, what is happening in the college schools right now is, if somebody is doing coding, they will do the coding for entire project. Somebody is writing something, they will write, they will design, and somebody is doing testing, they will do. So they will know only the specific, either the coding or the testing or other thing. But in the Scrum practice, actually it is going to be mixed everything. That's why we are applying this Scrum technology in the final year projects of the students. This is how the Scrum works, the original Scrum. We have something called as this is a very technical thing. We have something called as a backlog. These are the types of the projects that we have to do. So normally what they do is they slice or they divide the project into small pieces, because these pieces, in one of these project, this piece, one student will become as a trainer type of thing. In another one, another student will become the trainer type of thing. In another. So these are the different role. These different roles are going to be executed. Again, it will be converted into the expanded in the form of backlog or the tasks. Again, in these tasks, like we are doing, washing our clothes in the washing machine, actually the same type of operation will be executed here. That is what we call as a Scrum activity there. So whenever we say that a big project is divided into small portion, the project will have a owner called as a product owner. So this product owner is going to be the teacher. Then the teacher will divide the project into small pieces, and in that small pieces, each of the students will be asked to lead the project from the front, and then they will be asked to lead. The remaining students will be learning how one lead of the project is executing the project. Then the teacher will be following. At the end, they will do some 24-hour activities. After every 24 hour, there will be a Scrum meeting, or before that one, and there will be for example, like this, there will be Scrum review, sprints review. After the review, then we will come to know that which was the students out of 4 students or 5 students, which was the student they perform better during their turn, and which are the students that they have to repeat. Means there are some repetition process has to be take place. In this way, we have adopted that there are other theories are there. I will skip some of this theory there. Okay, here normally when we apply this Scrum technology, so we call this one as a learning from the experience, because the group of the students are going to be asked to run a project into pieces, and there are series of interaction that we are going to develop among themselves that we call as a sprints, and each sprint is typically of 2 to 3 hours, and there will be 4 to 5 9 team members there. For example, this is the same model of a school project or the college project. For example, here there are a group of the members are there. There will be a Scrum Master and there will be a product. Normally the product owner is the teacher, and these are the members, and there will be a Scrum Master. This Scrum Master will be a piece of the projects to run on the first instant. So this fellow also will maintain the priority what are the features to be executed first, so on, and other thing. And then the Scrum Master will motivate. Also, the Scrum Master will own a process. For example, I was talking about software development. There will be analysis, there will be testing, there will be coding and other thing. At least for one process, this Scrum Master will motivate and coach the other thing. Then the Scrum Master will be responsible for making sure the team is productive as possible, because at the end there will be Scrum review, and at the end there will be review of the operations, and there will be recording also in this way. So in other way, this is also called as a micro learning not among the students, micro learning not among the staffs but among the students, like that. So this is the second fellow. The first fellow is the product owner, that is going to be the teacher. Second is the Scrum Master, there will be the students. The third members are the Scrum members. The Scrum member will simply follow the design of the product owner, which is passed to the Scrum Master, the plan to be executed, manage the commitment, what are the commitment to be done, then also delivery of the activity, like that. This is the third team. Then how we plan the Scrum process. First thing is we plan just like the project execution, just like a project planning of the final year students. And during this planning, we will set the sprint planning, meeting time, the date, exact timing. Then the product log, like I said, it is little technical. Product logs are the pieces of the project to be executed. For example, we are doing a report, NAC report, which is equivalent for many of the faculty member over here. You are going to take 1 month for preparing NAC report. But if you divide to the department level, if you divide to the activity of a department level, then it will come in hours. So like that, the product logs are presented by the product owner, what are to be done. Then out of that product owner, each of the items are selected. Then there will be a goal divided for each of the product owner. Then the construction of the sprints will take place by the Scrum Master. Then the Scrum Master is going to be, the Scrum Master is the student. And the student will decide along with his Scrum team and the Scrum Master what are the activity to be performed. Then finally, there will be the retrospective meeting, that what was the mistake. And for example, if this Scrum meeting is conducted on the daily basis, what we did yesterday, what we are going to do today, and so on. There will be analysis at the end. But during the daily meeting, that is something like a 5-minute meeting, one-time meeting in one location on the daily basis. Means before starting any activity, like how we are doing in the real industry, that in one shot we will have a meeting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we will set the agenda. We will go to our respective units, and by the end of the day we will have another meeting, and we'll come to know that what are the things to be, what are the things that we have set for today to finish, whether all those set activity has been finished for a day or not, like that. Then there is a process called as a sprints review. Actually, this is the very, very interesting part of the study, that after every sprint, after having one iteration or one life cycle of one small activity, then the project supervisor will be there to overview what the team's member did. After the demonstration by the team, they will take the judgment whether all those activities are done or not. If there are some activity it is not done, from the feedback only we will come to know. Here the supervisor role is only to observe. The process will be repeated by the Scrum Master. The member will give any type of command. The members are the project fellows, which is following the projects under a Scrum. And the supervisor can collect the feedback from the team member, so that he can compare the activity of today's activity to tomorrow, maybe today's activity to some other day's activity among the students, like that. Because every student is going to get a chance to run this piece of the projects in their turns. So in this way, we try to make the teamwork, and in this way we try to improve the proper communication among the team, because when a team member is becoming the team leader for activity and other members are becoming the member, and one among from the other member become the team member and the others, so dynamic role changing take place in between. Then empowering of the the candidates are also taking place. Definitely there will be some people who may be having communication gap, maybe misinterpretation of the information, maybe confidence of the team are developed, and also productivity try to increase and also execute in the limited time. So like this, the designing time, in the time of designing of the scrum, so we take something like how to form the team, how to planning, how to do the priority. Then after this activity, some deliverable or some expected outputs are also set, whether we are going to achieve this one. Then in the time of next phase is the training sprint, the activity to be rolled out. Then we do the assignment of the roles. Different roles are assigned to different members, and also on the weekly basis that the roles of the students, or on the daily basis the role of the students are also swapped, so that they can learn all the activity. And as a deliverable, recording timings are recorded for each of the activity, and also the performance of the candidate is about we have to finish the project within the time. Also we want to change the role of the students in the same time. Then in the time of retrospective time, it does the post-mortem of the performance or the discussion and the final product of the student, and the grade of the students also done. Then the performance report, the feedback, team performance report, and other all these type of things are also monitored in the time of this one. So in that way, the designing time, like I have discussed, in the time of this thing, we try to group the students as per their skill level. For example, there are some students who are very good in technical skill. There are some people who are weak, so that the those having technically strong, so they will be given a priority to lead the team first. Then those who are little weaker to that one, they will follow the team lead as a member. Then later on, the interaction in the brainstorming session, then also those team leads are going to represent and the entire team about what is the action or the clear picture of the project. Whenever the team leader, actually the team leader is chosen from among the group of the students. Whenever the team lead is explaining, actually other members also understand what is the something about the project. Then in the turn, that turn also will come to explain about the project. Then if there is some misunderstanding or there is some not clear picture about the project, then other team members also will help those guys. So this is how the designing of the teams are done, based on some similar technical skills or something like that. Then during the time of training, the roles are given. Team leader, one of the team leader will also will assign role to their specific members. For example, if some of you have attended SSC, short service selection for army and other thing, did the same thing. You will be given the facility to become a boss of 8 people. Then you will be given the facility to use or take the help of those 8 people. So in the same way, the team leader is given the members, the remaining members of the project, and he can assign any role to these projects. Actually, in this one, the supervisor is also observing that the student, whoever leading, the lead student has the capacity of supervising the other team members, like that. So on. Other steps are also take place here during the training of the sprint phases. Then another one is in the time of executing the sprint, the training sprint, recording or the feedbacks are collected. For example, there are 5 or 6 items to be done. Maybe the first item is done, but the remaining items has to be repeated. that performance is also recorded by the supervisor, maybe the then the marking scheme is also used by the supervisor to give the feedback. For example, if any of the event the grade is not as per the this thing marking scheme, then those activities will be asked to repeat, because we don't need to worry here, because this is just a trial model of the students before entering to the industry. So how they behave, how they are going to behave inside the industry has been taught here in the classroom as a final year project. So some repeated activity will be take place. That is why the unsatisfactory performance, either the process, the part of the project, or those employee or the staff or the student will be asked to repeat the same thing again, rerun. That is what we call as a sprint rerun. Then in the retrospective, already we know we will learn from the group that what are the lessons learned, whether in this sprint, in this session, whether we learn the design of the codes, or we do the codings, or we do the testing, or we will ask some questions by ourselves what we have learned in the last sprint. For example, the final year project is of 6 months. In the first month, how many sprints that we learn, what is the lesson that we learn, what did not do, or what are the things that we have missed out in the first phases, second phases, and other thing. All these things are recorded and we will move on. Now there are some very technical things about this Scrum, because there is a Scrum practices in the team member, team size. Normally team size is of 5 to 6 member. So if we are doing in our colleges, university, the team size has to be minimized, because normally there are 3-4 maximum number of 3-4 students are there only in one project. Then during the original sprint duration, there are 30 days. This has to be reduced to 2-3 weeks because of the project timing. The workload, normally we go for 40 hours in the original Scrum, but we have to minimize this one because students will also do other subjects other than this project. So that is why from the normal Scrum values, the training Scrum that we call as a purpose mini Scrum, number of the team size as well as the duration as well as some of the activity has to be minimized or decreased as per our requirement. And we do the same activity here. We ask the student to implement one patient management system, to develop a medical image system to detect the disease. So this was some of the activity we asked the students. This activity has been converted into this work breakdown structure, small pieces of the activity to be done based on how much hour it will be required. So on, it is going to take something like 200 hours. We have given the specific timing, specific hours to this activity, and we ask the members to group, and also we set their requirement skills. And then we develop the team member. In the first phase, the team member, there will be Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z, and one will be leading this one. And the size of the sprint and the role also given here. Whenever we are doing one task in 9 o'clock, sprint number 1, task number from this our work breakdown structure, the activity to be done. So this first activity has to be something like designing a table. Then this work is assigned to Mr. X. Then in sprint number 2, something like from 9 o'clock again to 2 o'clock, there will be another sprints in a day. There will be 2 or 3 activity to be performed. Then the design number 1 is done. Then design number 2, this is allotted to member number 2, so on other activity like this. All these things are assigned, and the supervisor will record what are the activity which is considered to be done, means totally completed, and the marks is given out of 10, how much mark is given available by this candidate. And if the candidate Mr. X is not getting proper mark, then this process done by Mr. X has to be repeated. Then what are the action to be repeated is already recorded over here. Then so on, the other activities of other activities are performed, and As a result, after interview, then the project supervisor will come to know that who are the student who has performed better in what different area. Then we will come to know that yes, this student is strong in coding, or maybe this student is strong in testing, and then the mix of the students, the members of the student will be done, and this sprint activity can be keep on repeating till the students are not comfortable in several or maybe selected few roles. Like this, we have studied, and we come to know that by doing this type of scrum practices during the execution of the final year projects, student can grow and the supervisor can record a performance. And it's good not only the supervisor, because supervisor also understand many activity from the student. At the same time, the students will learn different role, whatever the roles that they have to perform in an industry or in an institution will be learned during their final year project. So thus the mini scrum practices or the scrum practices applying to a final year project or in the work environment gives a lot of performance improvement, as well as it will minimize the miscommunication. It will minimize the gaps between the staff and the staff. This is first component what we have brought. So in this one, the swapping of the role, and also learning, and also the effective communication skill, as well as productivity and the transparency in hand to hand, eliminating several unnecessary work, redo work, and all those type of things take place in the scrum. So this is about the scrum practice. So I will go to part number 2. Like, we understand that there was a scrum practice. Before that, we understand that there is a blended system. Under blended system, we have online examination, we have proctor-based examination, maybe flip classroom or something like that. And also we have understand that in this scrum that the flexibility of the students and other things can be improved. Now I go to one more point called as management of roles, either for a staff or for a student, by using a responsibility index and also action plan. So first I will go to the responsibility index. If we consider these are study model, if we consider any type of projects need to be handled from different places. For example, right now I'm talking from Gawali. Many of you are connecting from Maharashtra, Aurangabad. Maybe some of you guys are connecting from Delhi. Every project that whatever we have in our life is having a distributed in nature. And also at the same time, the level of the member, level of the team is also different. So that is why we consider that every project is having a distributed manpower, distributed working environment, different level of the people. So we need to break the project into different tasks and also distribute among ourselves. And there should be a central place where this information can be gathered. Whenever we are talking about information gathering, we have problems about sharing knowledge per time, the space, and the differences. For example, if some of you are working in some distributed project where this project has some partner from Japan, almost in Japan it is evening now. For example, if some people are there from America, it is midnight at their places, but you are going to get information from them. They are going to share some space with them. It is not easy. That is why, again, we come with this study, that management of roles or possible roles using this responsibility index. Actually, we are introducing a responsibility index called as a responsibility index in order to monitor the the roles of the employee within a very big organization. That is why software management tools, something like work breakdown structure, Gantt chart, and other things are also used in our thing. Whenever we develop this one, we use something like Linux, OpenCV, and other type of open source activity for managing this type of thing. Also, for the background, we use one more concept called as a layer architecture. Normally, the layer architecture is something like the operating system. You have file, you have the services, you have core, kernel, and other thing, different level. When there are different process, only all these levels are working together, just like it together, but they are working in different levels. So why we do this study of responsibility index? We do this study because this index value will add as a extra value to manage all the responsibility in a large distributed project. For example, one university, from the university, different departments and other thing, all this type of thing. And we also make the application so that these index are automatically updated. For example, in one of the staff is having a problem in one corner of the department, then through this index, we will come to know, oh, Mr. X is having a problem, we need help. For example, Marathwada University want to give the record or, one self-declaration report on NAC. One department is not submitting. Actually, you cannot submit to the Vice Chancellor office because one department is not doing. So we come to know, okay, this department is having some problem, but here we are playing with some number. And also, this responsibility study will help the development team, the stakeholder, the stockholders, the customers to come very closer, because we will come to know about the strength and the weakness of each other, and also it will minimize the delay between the risks. For example, we call this one as a ticket. For example, one department having a problem, they are not having an NKN problem, they have an NKN problem, or they have raised a ticket. That ticket has to be solved. So it will also minimize the maintenance of the team member and something like that. And also it will improve the relationship and so on. So we'll start. We use an architecture called as a layer architecture. This is exactly like an operating system, and different operations are take place under this layer architecture. Normally in this layer architecture, what they do is they have very high level of set of rules. For example, what is the role of a professor? What is the role of a vice chancellor? The register. These are different. Then also it will contain list of several components and a connector. And they know what component will connect to what department, what connector in due course of time. And they also will have different type of communicating medium among themselves. At the same time, there will be designer, there will be developer which use similar technology, and there will be reusability system, responsive system, and other thing. In this, I'm talking about the layer architecture. So we are going to use this layer architecture. Layer architecture is very simple like this. Something like, if you see operating system, in layer number 1, we have the kernel. Layer number 2, we have resources, file management. Layer number 2, we have processor. We have layer number 3, the utilities, other thing. This is little technical, but we are not going to very much technical thing. How we are going to do exactly like how we conduct, how we use the operating system in different levels, the layers. We are going to give responsibility to our members in a team, in a workforce, in the same way. For example, like exactly we have here, we're going to set a responsibility index. In this responsibility index, every team will be given some set of tasks. Same thing, we are doing the same thing. The vice chancellor has a role, the registrar has a role, teacher has a role, and non-teaching staff has a role. Only the thing is we are mapping, and we are going to have direct interaction between one set to another. Otherwise, for example, if we have to go to meet some very big officer, we have to take appointment. There is proper this type of communication and other thing. Here, by introducing this responsibility index, those officer will can access the index value of every employee directly. Then they will come to know, okay, this is the list of the faculty member which are having problems. They are the people who need faculty development programs. So those type of things are going to be take place. Here I go here. So for this responsibility index, normally what we do is we give some responsibility index number for some set of tasks which is repeatedly used in any organization. So let's go to some university. In a university, what happened? We have meetings, we have assignment of the courses, we have teaching, we have examination, and we have, exam results and student clubs and all different type of activities. So consider that these are the tasks. For all those already defined tasks, we give some value. So this value, it is just a name 1, 2, 3, 4, because so that we can understand this one, by name, not by the activity. Like the employee name, we have the numbers of the roles to be done in an organization. For example, in industry, normally the industry, the coding club, coding, projects and other things, they will have this analysis, designing, coding, data entry, and so on. In the university, different sets are there. So what we are trying to do here, we are doing in this responsibility index is, for example, this Mr. X is given a task of designing. Whenever this task of designing is given to this one, we said that this index value number 1 or this index value is given to Mr. X. So we will consider that Mr. X or Mr. Professor number 1 is doing this teaching. And already we said that there should be some timing by this fellow, because this is the continuation of, if we see, this is the continuation of our work breakdown structure that we have mentioned over here. There are some timings are given here. This is a continuation of this one. Timing, the indexes. Now, there are employees over there. For example, in an organization, we have 3 employees, Mr. X and Mr. Y and Mr. Z. And there are indexes are given over there. Indexes number 1 to indexes number 7. So in the initial stage, the assignment task will be like this. Assignment index number 2, index number 3, and index number 4. Actually, index number 1 and other things are not given to anybody. Now, after doing this one, we will come to know that some of the indexes are already assigned. So I mean to say that Mr. X will be having a index to do something in designing some activity. Mr. Y will be having something in the next one, after some hours, after they finish this one, because already we know that these indexes, these roles has some allotted time. For example, 1 hour timing, 2 hour timing, 3 hour timing. So if they finish in 1 hour timing, 2 hour timing, definitely they will pick up the remaining thing. Here, actually, we are introducing something that how much a faculty member or a staff can do more activity in one time. Because what happened is, in the time of faculty development program, or in the time of what you say the promotion and something like that, there are a lot of other things are there. We did not record it properly. So in this one, if we consider for one organization that the roles of the indexes are also given. For example, Mr. X is doing 2-3 activity. For example, you can see here Mr. X has a all role as index number 2. There was the designing thing. The current role of the index Mr. X may be another role number 5. That is the refreshing of the activity. Mr. Y will have a new role and another thing. So this will be updated in a database of indexes. Means exactly like how inside the operating system, all those operations are taking place. The employees are also given some responsibility to do inside the organization. And we are going to find out that which are the employee who are working extra mile. At the same time, if we go to this activity here, the same activity here, that a project has been decomposed into work breakdown structure, many different activity, and the timings are given, the sub timings are given, and also responsibility indexes values are given over here. When we apply this one, the project timing, the start timing of the project, the start timing of the project, the end timing of the project, normally we give like this. And then after applying this responsibility index, definitely some of the staff will do before the time, because if you see task number 1, the task number 1 should be given, should be finished in 4 days, but this fellow has finished before the time, so definitely it is earning some more extra time also. Actually, such people will be responsible for, you know, mentoring the other team, and also such people will be they are deserved to be promoted. And if in any case, in any time, something, there is some facility to be given to the staff, then those type of people should be rewarded first. That is why we are introducing this responsibility in this. At the same time, if there are some team that they are taking other than the timing provided to them, for example, in this, they are about to do this one in, you know, 2-hour time, but they are unable to take in time, definitely there will be some, what you said, there will be some extra time will be taken by these fellows. So from that extra time, we will come to know that this employee or this member or this student is struggling. Definitely some attention should be given to those sector, because we are talking about the responsibility index in a global or distributed environment. Because if you are working together in a single team, there is no need for, you know, this much responsibility index and other thing. But in case if you are working in a distributed environment, like because of the post COVID and other thing, many people are working, unless and until we don't have some value called as an index responsibility, something like that, it is going to be very difficult. For example, this is the same thing here, some component, because we apply this one to the real case study. We have selected some group of the students and also asked to perform the same thing with the exact value. So responsibility index, responsibility team, for example, if somebody earn more time, for example, the status of the project, finished, not finished, to be repeated, another thing, this, all these things are recorded in a responsibility database. Same thing from here, we generate different data analytics report. Normally we don't generate this type of report in a department, because we understand by face value that he has finished or something like that. But by introducing this responsibility index team, we also generate several data in this way, that who are the people involved in one group of tasks, for example, this testing, installation, analysis, designing, and what is the major hours used or the resources utilized, which section, and something like that. At the same time here, if there are some projects to be seen, what are the projects which is in process, this another progress report can be done. In this way, the data analytics activities also take place after understanding the responsibility index factor. And same thing, we have applied this one to develop that the design of the electronics medical system by using 4-5 students. So responsibility index helps to understand the difficulty among the team member. In case only one, some of the team members, some of the sections, it is having a lot of pending activity, definitely the lead team or the the observer or the head of the institution can definitely take place, and numbers are given on the tasks, numbers are given on the finished activity that they have achieved. So on, so on. It brings more transparency among the sites. It brings also, you know, the if there is something going to be exceeding the deadline, before some days we come to know about those departments that who are going to exceeding the time like that. So this is something about the responsibility record or responsibility index, helps the team. Now I go to the last portion, that action-based analysis. Actually, this is done in one of the university, some of the university that we have worked before already. This is also something like a this one tool base. If you see, every university on yearly basis or on 6 monthly basis, we have to do some activity or something. So what we do is we set the yearly activities in one side, the workshop to be done, the refresher program to be done, social commitment, interaction with the external body, refresher, publication, conference, invited talk, and so on, so on, in one activity. And the timelines are set by ourselves, or the activity to be done by is set by ourselves. And also the department is asked to do their own comment, whether you are having, you know, you have satisfied with your performance, something like that. Then based on the activity that you have set as an agenda to be done by a department for a year, you are also given some weightage by yourself, so that all these weightage together gives a 100%. For example, workshops, there are 4-5 workshops that we have planned. If we have planned this, we will consider that our department satisfactorily conducted this activity, but the weightage of this one will be 15%. If we have conducted this one, definitely we will rate ourselves. So the rating of this evaluation of this seat is also, evaluation scale is also there. In case we exceed our expectation, then we consider ourselves that we got 10 out of 10. In case if we meet the expectation is a 6, if we are below, then it will be considered as a below expectation, number 6, like that. Then the evaluation weightage here. So on, these are thus projected value, and the timing of all these things will be provided, that this is a period from, let's say, June 2015 to May 2016, like that, for a year or 6 months, something like that. Correct. So this is a event-driven or document-driven activity that we call as an annual appraisal of the department. Also, we call as an action-based analysis. Then, in this action-based analysis, we may conduct several activities. For example, we say here workshop. So, how many workshops that we have conducted? All those things in this action, the outcome will be prepared in the form of a report. So in the report, we may have workshops and other things. What are the workshops that we have conducted? Those set of workshops. Then in the second, the refresher courses, and so on, so on, so on, so on, different activities that we have. Actually, we are going to make a report on this one, that in 2015 or 2016, we have said that we have conduct one workshop. We will conduct one workshop, workshop number 1, workshop number 2, workshop number 3, that it is already conducted in this way. So this is a report, because based on this report, after this report only, we have given ourselves that we get 10 out of 10. That's the activity of a department. Then so on. After this one, in this one, we will analyze together with the registrar office or the vice chancellor office, that how much mark that your department achieved. Actually, from here only, you know, the compilation of the NAC, compilation of the UGC visit, or, you know, some other NBA and other things take place. For example, workshops. How much workshops, how much weightage value that you are giving, and also similar type of things are taken place. For example, teaching, research and development, and so on. So these marks, based on this mark, there will be out of this 10 out of 10, there will be some marks will be given by the department by themselves, and there will be a presentation in front of the higher authority that we set our value with the help of this action based analysis, action plan based, because these action plan, action items are set by ourselves with consultation of our authority. After the finish of this activity, all these report submission, other thing, and we analyze and we claim. In the same way, in the NAC and other things also, we are doing the same thing. We do the self-assessment report, then the self-assessment reports are reviewed, and then by the presentation, by a presentation to the NAC member and other thing, and we got something. So in the same way, these action plan analysis also take place to analyze the performance of the report, performance of the department. If in case this activity is taken place from the registrar office, then all the departments in a sync, we will come to know that what department is doing what, and where the stand of the department, and so on. At the same time, in the same manner, either by using the flipped classroom or the proctor-based examination, this is very much useful to the students and the staff, and also will improve the digital skill set among the staff and the student, and also among the general public. The grooming of the new team using the Scrum practices is very much useful for the staff as well as the student to groom themselves before entering to the real environment. And then this responsibility index as well as the action plan based HR management in a mixed workspace also give very useful tips and concepts to analyze among the staff as well as to motivate each other. And also as a observer or as a head of the department, all those head of the department also very much, this one, by using these tools, it is becoming very easy for to monitor the performance of each of the section. If need, then intervention can be take place, for example, by responsibility index and something like that. With this, I want to conclude my talk here.
Thank you, Jayant. Now it's turn to the participant. If you have any doubts, questions as such, please write those questions into the chat box. Nilesh, I hope you have seen the timetable. So the test will happen as per the timetable only, right? So this is not good time to give you about details about the test. Okay, now if any participants has question, please raise the hands, or they can text it into chat box. So we'll wait for a minute, Jayant, for
Yes,
some
yes.
of the questions. So we'll take that questions if there are any. Let me explore it one more time. Okay, Jayant, there are no questions as such into a chat box. So at the outset, I must thank you for giving your valuable time and inputs onto different aspects, and it is indeed a great privilege that you have shared all experience which you have got from the other universities as such, because one point which you have just discussed it about action plans, so that reminds me that the UGC has given given us a mandate of putting a career putting a application into the same format for career advancement schemes, right, where there are things, but no, like normally the tendency is that we don't plan anything for our resume actually, irrespective of some programs, that's it. So it is really very nice to see that you can plan so many things, and there are certain indexes also available which can track your progress and the resources that you are using for your academics. So with this, Jayant, I would like to thank you for your time and the lecture into this ATAL Academy sponsored faculty development program on leadership for academic excellence. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
This time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jayant. Now, participants, we will move as per the time schedule. So your exam test will going to happen by 5:30, right? So thank you very much for being here into this particular session, right? So I hope that you have a very good experience about the course work. Anyone want to say something? Because we are closing down the meeting. It would be nice to see some of your experiences about the faculty development program.